All right. Good evening, everyone. Am I audible? Anybody
Yes, sir,
please
you are.
confirm me if I'm audible?
Yeah, sir.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right. So yes, good evening, everyone present here. Today we have joined together for this online session to celebrate National Education Day. Although National Education Day was observed on 11th of November, but we are celebrating it today through this special session to highlight the importance of education and India's continuous efforts to strengthen its learning system. And this day reminds us of our responsibility to ensure quality and meaningful education for every learner in this country. Now, as a part of this celebration, our focus today is on the National Education Policy 2020, that is NEP 2020, a major reform that aims to transform India's entire education system. And it is the first education policy of the 21st century, and it brings a new vision for how students learn, how teachers teach, and how schools and colleges function. And it also emphasizes holistic development, creativity, skill building, and making education more inclusive, flexible, and student friendly. Now, NEP 2020 encourages learning in the home language, promotes multidisciplinary education, improves teachers' training, and prepares students with the skills that is needed for the future. And as we celebrate National Education Day, uh, through this online session today, understanding NEP 2020, it becomes especially meaningful because it reflects India's commitment to building a knowledgeable, empowered, and innovative society. Today's presentation will guide you through this key features, goals, and it in the expected impact of NEP 2020 in a simpler and very clear manner. So let us begin our discussion on how this policy is shaping the future of education in India. So National Education Policy 2020, this is the first introduction we are going to have. Like, what is this? Now, this national education policy is India's new most important policy for improving the entire education system. It highlights the transform India's educational landscape by making learning more inclusive, modern, and meaningful. The policy focuses on giving every student in India access to good quality education, irrespective of their background. There is a quote, a vision for equitable, inclusive, and quality education for all. This captures the central goal of the policy to create opportunities for all children and youth to learn in a system that supports their overall development. And this report date, November 30, 2025, simply indicates when this presentation document is prepared only to celebrate that NEP 2020, how much it is important, and how National Education Day is important for all of us to understand this policy in a better way. So now, it highlights that NEP 2020 is the first education policy of the 21st century in India, which was created to meet the country's new development in India, and it's created to meet the country's new developmental needs also. The policy is rooted in India's long tradition of knowledge, culture, and intellectual heritage, and it also aligns with the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal 4, which focuses on providing quality education for all. NEP 2020 aims to build an education system where India becomes a strong knowledge society. These four major pillars of NEP 2020 here is first holistic development, which means the policy wants students to grow intellectually, socially, emotionally, and ethically, not just memorize facts. Second, it encourages creative potential, which helps students become innovative thinkers who can solve problems in fresh ways. Third, NEP highlights 21st century skills such as critical thinking, problem solving, communication, and adaptability, which are essential for future jobs. And finally, global knowledge, which encourages learning that is experimental, interconnected, and aligned with global educational standards. And together, these elements show that NEP 2020 actually aims to prepare students not only for exams but for life in a changing world. Now, this is the key structural transformation, which calls the 5 plus 3 plus 3 plus 4 framework. Now, what is this? This actually explains one of the biggest changes introduced by NEP 2020, covering ages 3 to 18 of the students instead of the old 10 plus 2 system. Like NEP organizes schooling around how children grow and learn at different stages. Now, the foundational stage first, that is age 3 to 8. This includes 3 years of Angarwadi or preschool and classes like 1 and 2. Learning here is play based, right? Activity based and focused on building early literacy and numeracy. Flexibility is encouraged so young children learn in a natural and enjoyable way, like the play schools that we sent to the students, like the preschools. There are many other small play schools for our students, for such small babies in the country, right? Next comes preparatory stage, that is age 8 to 11. Now, this stage covers classes 3 to 5. Now, students here introduced to textbooks, and gradually and concepts are taught through play-based and discovery-based learning. And this aim is to strengthen reading, writing, and basic academic foundation. The third part comes the middle stage, that is from age 11 to 14. This includes actually classes 6 to 8. Here, subject-specific teaching begins. Students learn more abstract and deeper concepts in science, mathematics, arts, and social sciences. And it marks the shifts from general learning to more structured and academic learning. And last, the secondary stage, that is the age 14 to 18, which covers classes 9 to classes 12, divided into two phases. At this stage, students explore subjects in a multidisciplinary manner, meaning they can choose combinations across arts and science and vocational areas. This focus is on critical thinking, flexibility, and choice, so students can prepare for higher educations and careers of their own choice. Now, early childhood care and education. So this part of NEP actually explains the importance of early childhood care and education under NEP 2020, which focuses on children ages 3 to 8 years. National education policy actually highlights that the early years are the most crucial because 85% of a child's brain development happens before the age of 6, we know. So, however, the early 10 plus 2 system did not include children aged 3 to 6, and many disadvantaged children did not have access to early learning facilities. And to solve this problem, National Education Policy 2020 sets a major goal which has universal access to high quality for all children by 2030. So this policy actually plans or talks about to achieve this through a new curriculum framework designed by NCERT for age 3 to 8 for the students. And this curriculum includes local traditions and cultural practices. This policy also proposes several delivery mechanisms such as expanding Anganwadis, improving pre-primary schools, and creating both standalone and co-located ECCE centers, strong teachers training in another major component. NEP recommends 6-month certificate or diploma courses for ECCE teachers along with digital learning opportunities to build their skills. And key components include creating like preparatory classes for children aged 3 to 5, including play-based and activity-based learning, and linking these programs with ashram shalas in tribal areas. So overall, this early childhood care and education, that is ECCE, ensures that every child enters primary school with a strong foundation, and which is very necessary, because if the foundation is not strong, the students later on actually suffers a lot when they go to for the higher education, and one by one they reaches from one stage to another. Now, foundational literacy and numeracy mission. This actually focuses on one of the most important missions of NEP 2020, ensuring that every child in grade, that is from class 1 to 5, learns basic reading, writing, and arithmetic skills. This actually talks about the problem clearly here, because over 5 crore elementary school students in India lack foundational literacy and numeracy, which affects all future learning. Because of this, national education policy makes foundational literacy and numeracy and the highest priority for the Ministry of Education. Now, this mission's goal is to achieve universal FLN in primary schools by 2025. And to reach this goal, national education policy suggests several key interventions. Firstly, sufficient and well-trained teachers must be appointed, especially to maintain a student-teacher ratio between 30:1, and below 25:1 is a disadvantaged areas. Second, digital resources are to be expanded through the Diksha platform, giving teachers and students access to high quality FLN material. Okay, and third, NEP emphasizes building a strong reading culture by providing enjoyable books in Indian languages and improving library access. So additionally, this policy encourages school preparations through a 3-month play-based module for grade 1 students, and it highlights the role of community supports through volunteer tutoring and parental engagement. Health and nutrition related measures such as strengthening midday meals supports children learning readiness. Together, these interventions aim to ensure that no child reaches higher grades without essential learning skills. Now, universal access and dropout prevention. So this explains that national education policy's commitment to ensuring that every child stays in school from preschool up to class 12. And this policy's target is to achieve 100% gross enrollment ratio across all levels of schooling by 2030. Now, the slide shows the current gross enrollment ratio, that is the data from 2017 and 18, whereas 90.9% in class 1 to 5, 79.3% in class 6 to 10, and 56.5% in class 11 and 12. These numbers reveal that dropout rates increases sharply in higher grades, and therefore national education policy introduced several strategies to address this issue. Now, under access strategies, the policy recommends improving school infrastructure, ensuring regular teacher availability, and providing safe and convenient transportation, especially for children in remote areas. It also proposes building hostels for girls, setting up alternate education centers for migrant children, and national education policy also encourages broadening learning opportunities through both formal and non-formal methods and involving communities and alumni to support weaker students. Now, for dropout prevention, national education policy suggests systems to track students at risk of leaving school. It also calls for deploying trained counselors who can support students and their families addressing emotional and academic challenges. Improving school quality in high dropout regions and reducing rigid school restrictions are additionally measures that national education policy is highlighting, that the curriculum must become more engaging, relevant, and enjoyable so that students find learning meaningful. And these combined efforts aim to ensure that no child is left behind and every student completes their schooling. Now, holistic curriculum and pedagogy reform. This actually explains how National Education Policy 2020 wants to change the way teaching and learning happens in schools. Now, what happened is to earlier that the system was focused mainly on rote learning, where students memorized information without actually understanding it. But National Education Policy this time shifts the focus towards experimental and integrated learning, where the meaningful the students will learn through activities. And what are those activities? That is the real life experiences, practical understanding, and this also aims to develop important skills such as critical thinking, creativity, and adaptability, which are necessary for life in the 21st century. The policy also actually proposes reducing unnecessary curriculum content so that students and teachers have more time for deeper learning, problem solving, and discovery based activities. National education policy strongly encourages experimental learning, which includes hands on work, arts integrated education, sports integrated education, and real world projects. And another major reform is the multidisciplinary approach that national education policy removes the rigid separation between arts, science, and vocational subjects so that students can choose combinations based on their interests. And lastly, this actually talks about or highlights the multilingual education, stating that children should learn in their home language or mother tongue at least till class 5. Why? As this helps in understanding concepts more easily and it builds a strong learning foundation. Next comes multilingual education and language policy. So this talks about the languages in schools. So the policy emphasizes the importance of the mother tongue or home language as the medium of instructions until at least class 5 and preferably up to class 8. This is because children learn faster and more comfortably in their mother language that they speak at home. And national education policy also continues the three language formula, which means students should learn three languages with flexibility for states to choose the language as long as uh, two of them are Indian languages. And this ensures that cultural connection and linguistic diversity. So this actually mentions the development of Indian Sign Language as a standardized language for the country, along with creating curriculum materials to support children with hearing disabilities also, as it presents a list of classical Indian languages such as Sanskrit, Tamil, Telugu, Kannada, Malayalam, Uriya, Pali, and Prakrit languages that students can learn as part of preserving Indians' cultural heritage. And additionally, national education policy also encourages the option of learning foreign languages at the same time, which includes Korean language, Japanese, Thai, French, German, Spanish, Portuguese, and Russian. So this exposure prepares students for global opportunities while maintaining a strong foundation in Indian language. Now, assessment and evaluation transformation. So this explains how National Education Policy 2020 aims to completely reforms the examination and assessment system. Previously, assessments were mostly summative, meaning they focused on marks and one-time exams. But now, National Education Policy proposes a transition towards a formative and competency-based system where the focus is on understanding skills and continuous learning rather than memorizing it. So, this shift aims to reduce students' stress and make learning more meaningful. So one major change in the introduction of holistic progress card provides a 360-degree view of a student's development. This includes academic performance, skills, values, and extracurricular achievements, along with self-assessment and peer assessments. So national education policy also introduced board exam reforms, redesigning grades class like 10 to 12 board exams to test core concepts rather than superficial memorization. so that students will have flexibility in choosing subjects and will be allowed to take board exams twice a year to improve their performance. So this actually mentions the establishment of Parak, a national assessment center responsible for maintaining standards, evaluating progress, and supporting school level reforms. In addition, school examinations for class 3, 5, and 8 will check basic learning outcomes to ensure the children are progressing well. A national education policy also supports gifted students through enrichment programs, clubs, national residential camps, and Olympiads. And the overall goal of this assessment transformation is to make exams more fair, useful, and aligned with real understanding uh, for a betterment. Next comes the teacher education and professional development. So this slide or this teacher education and professional development actually highlights the National Education Policy 2020 focuses, which is on improving the quality of teachers, as they are the central to educational transformation. Why? Because National Education Policy proposes a new teacher education framework that includes a 4-year integrated B.Ed degree as the minimum qualification for teaching by 2030. This program blends subjects knowledge with professional training from the beginning. For those who already have a bachelor's degree, and a 2-year B.Ed will continue to be available. And the policy also introduced a 1-year B.Ed program for individuals with multidisciplinary degrees who want to enter the teaching profession. So beyond initial qualifications, National Education Policy emphasizes continuous professional development, ensuring teachers keep learning throughout their careers. And under the professional development system, teachers are required to complete at least 50 hours of professional training each year, including workshops, online modules, and skill building courses. And National Education Policy introduced a merit-based career progression system so that teachers are promoted based on performance rather than seniority alone. Multiple performance indicators will be used for fair assessment. To support all this reform, National Education Policy calls for the creation of a new curriculum framework for teachers' education, that is NCFTE, and to be revised every 5 to 10 years. And additionally, the National Professional Standards for Teachers, that is NPST, will outline the roles, expectations, and competencies required for teachers, ensuring high quality teaching across India. Next comes equitable and inclusive education. So this explains how National Education Policy 2020 aims to make education accessible and fair for all children, especially those from disadvantaged backgrounds, and it also introduced several key inclusion initiatives such as creating special education zones in areas with high populations of socioeconomically disadvantaged groups. These zones receive targeted support to improve learning outcomes, and the Gender Inclusion Fund ensures equal education opportunities for girls and transgender students. Now, this policy also proposes free boarding facilities, that is, hostels in remote locations, to support students who actually cannot travel long distances to school. Also, it highlights institution strengthening, which includes expanding Kasturba Gandhi Balika Vidyalayas, that is residential school for girls, and strengthening Jawaharlal Navodaya Vidyalayas for talented rural students. Okay, so National Education Policy is promoting an inclusive education framework focusing on barriers-free access, meaning that both physical and digital infrastructure must be accessible to all the students and learners, and the introduction of Indian Sign Language modules ensures that students with hearing impairments receive proper support. So overall, this NEP's strong commitment to fairness, ensuring that every learner or student, regardless of gender, geography, or socio-economic background, receives quality education. Now comes children with special needs, that is CWSN. So this focuses on a vision for children with special needs, ensuring full inclusion and equal opportunities. The inclusion policy states that children with disabilities should participate in regular schooling from the foundational stage to higher education whenever it is possible. However, based on individual needs, family may choose special schooling or home-based education for children with severe disabilities, but national education policy emphasizes that all school spaces, classrooms, and playgrounds and digital platforms must be barrier-free, making them safe and accessible for every children. And under support resources, National Education Policy recommends additional tools and training for teachers and special educators. These include assistive devices like hearing aids, wheelchairs, screen readers, and technology-based learning tools. So the policy stresses the availability of accessible learning materials such as large print books and braille. It also directs the National Institute of Open Schooling, that is NIOS, we all know, to develop quality modules in Indian Sign Language for students with hearing impairments, and these resources help ensure meaningful participation in learning. So this implementation section outlines how this policy specially will be put into action, and this includes early identification of disabilities guidelines by PARAC for assessing children with learning disabilities and strong teacher training in inclusive practices. So the policy also demands the removal of biases and stereotypes from textbooks, materials, and classroom culture. So overall, now, national education policy ensures that children with special needs are treated with dignity and given equal opportunities and support with the right tools and teaching methods. Next comes school governance through complexes. Now, this explains how National Education Policy 2020 plans to improve the management of schools through a school complex model. This policy actually identifies a major challenge. Nearly 28% of public primary schools in India have fewer than 30 students. And such schools face problems like lack of teachers, limited resources, and inefficiency. So teachers in these small schools often work in isolation and do not have access to proper academic support. So, to solve these issues, National Education Policy proposes grouping nearby schools into a school complex where one secondary school is linked with several lower grade schools and Angarwadis within a 5 to 10 kilometer radius. So, this creates a shared system that makes the use of resources more effective. So, this also highlights the key benefits of this model. First, school in a complex can share resources such as libraries, laboratories, playgrounds, and teaching materials. Second, school complexes support integrated planning where school development plans are prepared collectively. Third, the policy also promotes developed authority. Meaningful school complexes can function like semi-autonomous units. So there is also a concept of twinning in which public and private school collaborate to support each school. And for implementation, NEP suggests more school complex management committees and developing shared resources and enabling teachers to work together through shared teaching and joint activities. So this structure aims to improve school governance, reduce inequalities, and build strong learning communities. Next, so the quality assurance and accreditation. So this actually explains how National Education Policy 2020 aims to ensure that schools provide high quality education through a transparent and accountable system. So the policy identified three principles of reforms, that is quality assurance and accreditation. Separation of functions is the first one, that is policy making, regulations and operations should not be done by the same body. Number two, quality self-regulation, where schools should follow independent, high-standard processes to assess themselves. Third, accountability, there must be clear responsibilities and fair performance assessments. So to implement these principles, National Education Policy introduced a reformed regulatory framework, and the Department of School Education will oversee the overall monitoring and policy direction. The State School Standards Authority will set standards for all schools and handle complaints. Meanwhile, the Directorate of School Education will look after daily functioning, services, and questionable or operational tasks. This clear separation prevents conflicts of interest and improves quality. NAP actually states that all schools, public or private, must meet the same quality standards, ensuring fairness and consistency in education across the country. Now comes higher education vision and restructuring. So this slide actually presents that National Education Policy 2020 long-term vision for higher education, known as Vision. Hello. Anybody who has put your mic on, can you please put it off? Brunel, I think your mic is on. Please put your mic off. Anyways, so this actually explains institutional restructuring. National Education Policy actually proposes transforming existing single-stream colleges into multidisciplinary universities. And it also suggests that phasing out the system of affiliated colleges over 15 years, replacing it with large autonomous colleges and universities. So transparent accreditation processes will decide the level of autonomy each institution receives. So finally, National Education Policy sets a major target for access, increasing the gross enrollment ratio in higher education from 26.3% in 2018 to 50% by 2035. And to achieve this, this policy emphasizes expanding public education, scholarships, online learning and infrastructure that is accessible to everyone. This vision aims to create a strong, inclusive, and globally competitive higher education system in India. Now comes institutional consolidation and autonomy. So this slide actually explains how National Education Policy 2020 aims to restructure higher education institutions in India by making them more autonomous, multidisciplinary, and efficient. So the policy actually introduces a step-by-step timeline for transforming the current fragmented college system from 2035 to from 2023 to 2025. The process of phasing out the traditional affiliated college model begins. Because affiliated colleges currently depend on universities for exams, curriculum, and decision making. So between 2025 and 2030, National Education Policy plans to implement a graded autonomy system where colleges receive different levels of autonomy based on their accreditation and performance. From 2030 to 2035, institutions will transition into autonomous degree granting colleges, which means they can create their own curriculum and award degrees independently. And finally, from 2035 to 2040, the entire higher education system is expected to shift fully into multidisciplinary universities with strong academic and financial freedom. Now, multidisciplinary higher education. So, this actually highlights the National Education Policy's vision to move away from narrow subject boundaries and promote multidisciplinary learning, which prepares students for the complex needs of the 21st century. So the first major reform is the integration of arts and humanities with STEAM fields, that is science, technology, engineering, mathematics, and NEP states that when students combine subjects like literature, history, mathematics, and engineering, they develop stronger creativity, problem solving skills, and social awareness. And even leading institutions like IITs are encouraged to adopt multidisciplinary programs. So this actually explains flexible curriculum structures where students will have the ability to combine different disciplines creatively, allowing them to design their own academic pathways, and there will be multiple entry and exit points in degree programs. For example, a student can exit after 1 year with a certificate, after 2 years with a diploma, or after 3 to 4 years with a degree. So institutions will offer diverse specializations and educations will move along a continuum from research intensive universities to teaching focused ones, ensuring flexibility and lifelong learning. And the third section emphasizes the importance of ancient Indian traditions in modern education. That is, national education policy encourages the revival of the holistic learning approach of the 64 kalas, which balance intellectual, artistic, social, and practical skills. So traditional Indian knowledge systems such as Ayurveda, philosophy, classical arts, and ancient mathematics are valued for their cultural and educational richness. So this policy aims to balance specialized knowledge with broad-based learning, ensuring students grow into well-rounded individuals. Now comes vocational educational integration. So this actually explains how National Education Policy 2020 integrates vocational education into mainstream schooling to make students more skilled, confident, and career ready. The policy introduced a new integration framework where students in class 6 to 8 begin learning vocational crafts such as carpentry, electric work, pottery, and other hands-on skills. So the goal is to remove the stigma around vocational education and make skill-based learning enjoyable and meaningful. NEP also encourages industry partnerships where schools collaborate with local industries for mentorship, resources, and real-world exposure. This helps students understand practical application beyond textbooks, and the overall aim is holistic development where academic learning and vocational skills are combined to produce well-rounded individuals. So this actually provides a clear implementational roadmap for every one of us. In class 6 to 8, students will be introduced to vocational clubs along with 10-day internship with local experts to gain hands-on experience. Then from class 9 to 10, vocational modules will become more advanced and will include industry partnership to develop practical skills. Then from class 11 to 12, students can choose specialized vocational training aligned with career pathways or certifications. And at the higher education level, vocational education will be fully integrated with professional and academic programs, providing multiple opportunities for students to pursue skilled careers. And this entire approach ensures that every student actually gains practical, employable skills by the time they completed their schools. So technology and digital learning. So this explains how National Education Policy 2020 uses technology to improve education and make learning more and more interesting and personalized and accessible for all the students. So the first section focuses on personalized learning, where technology helps tailor learning experiences to each student's pace and needs. Adaptive learning schools, AI-powered pathways, and individualized educational plans allow students to learn in a way that suits their strengths and weaknesses. And this makes learning more flexible and student-friendly. The second section highlights the importance of Diksha platform, which serves as one-stop national digital resource hub. Diksha provides high-quality foundational literacy and numeracy materials, supports teachers with digital resources, and helps bridge language barriers. It also encourages resource sharing across states, making educational content widely available. The third section focuses on online education, where national education policy actually promotes to reach remote and underserved regions. This includes expanding open and distance learning programs and strengthening the open schools, and digital literacy initiatives helps students and teachers use technology effectively. And overall, also, this shows that national education policy aims to create a strong digital ecosystem so that learning continues anyway, anytime, and everywhere. Now, implementation timeline and monitoring. This actually talks about how National Education Policy 2020 will be implemented or has implemented step by step, and how progress will be monitored. So the 2025 target highlights immediate goals such as achieving universal foundational literacy and numeracy, completing teachers training program, and establishing the national mission on FLN. And these steps focus on improving early learning outcomes because they form the base for all future education. Next, the 2030 vision outlines broader goals. By 2030, national education policy aims to ensure universal access to quality early childhood education for all the children, and also convert school into multidisciplinary learning environments and increase the gross enrollment ratio in higher education to 50%. And this long-term plan supports a complete transformation of India's education system. And on the monitoring side, national education policy established a solid monitoring and coordination framework. That is, Parak is responsible for performance assessments, review and analysis of learning outcomes, and regular assessment cycle will gather data on student learning and teacher performance. A multi-ministerial term that ensures that different ministries work together smoothly. So, and national education policy also ensures that SDG4 alignment, that meaning that which means that it meets global goals on quality education. So it shows that NEP has a well-planned roadmap with a strong accountability and mechanisms. So the final part: what is the expected outcomes and impact of it, of National Education Policy 2020? So the positive changes that National Education Policy 2020 aims to bring in India is it presents three key for transformative outcomes. First, that National Education Policy hopes to develop India into a knowledgeable society where people have strong educational foundations, creativity, and access to global knowledge. So this will make India an equitable and vibrant knowledge superpower. Second, national education policy focuses on holistic development, supporting the cognitive, emotional, ethical, and social, physical, and physical growth of learners, so that they become well-rounded individuals. And third, the policy emphasizes 21st century competencies such as creativity, problem solving, critical thinking, and adaptability, where skills needed in a fast-changing world. This actually is a major impacted areas, identified the major impacted areas, because national education policy supports economic growth by building a skilled workforce, social justice by reducing inequalities in access to education, and national integration by promoting unity and cultural understanding. And additionally, national education policy helps India build global competitiveness, making students capable of contributing to international innovation and development. So, the concluding quote emphasizes that National Education Policy 2020 aims to create a modern, inclusive, and future ready education system aligned with global sustainable development goal, and it promotes a lifelong learning and prepares students for success in a rapidly changing world. So thank you everyone for your time and listening and joining in this session. But before we conclude, anybody has any questions, any feedback, or any information to share about National Education Policy 2020? Anybody?
Yes, sir. I have a question.
Yes, yes.
First of all, good evening, everyone. Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Uh, I am Abhijit Shah from BTech 7 SEM,
Yeah.
Computer Science and Engineering. And also, thank you, sir, for the valuable session on National Education Policy 2020. So, my question is, what role does technology play in National Education Policy 2020?
Abhijit, can you, ask the question again because I think your voice is breaking.
Okay, my question is, what role does technology play in National Education Policy 2020?
Okay. So, in national education policy, technology actually plays a major role because technology has become one of the most important thing for all the students, and this supports a personalized learning and digital platform resources like through platforms like Diksha and online education for remote areas. I mean, students can actually get access to education. Okay, and it also helps bridge language barriers and also support the teachers, and it provides equal access to high quality learning materials to all the students, those who can go to school and maybe can't go to school or belong to the remote areas, so that it actually helps those students and supports personalized learning. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Okay, anybody else has any question?
Yes, sir. My name is Shipali Pal, and I'm from BTech 7 SEM. So, my
Yes.
question is, sir, what is a foundation literacy and numeracy, and why it is important?
Okay, that's a wonderful question. Foundational literacy and numeracy actually, it means having basic reading and writing, or mathematics skills by class 3. I mean, to the students, so that they can understand reading, writing, and skills. You see, these days students in different schools, maybe they are actually promoting to one class after one class. But if you ask them some basic questions, it can be seen that these students actually lag behind in many things. So reading, writing, and maths are the three things which are very, very crucial and important for the students who, I mean, this is the basic foundation through which they can go to the upper classes. So National Education Policy 2020 actually considers that foundational literacy and numeracy a top priority, because without these basic skills children cannot understand higher level subjects, and the goal is to achieve universal foundational literacy and and numeracy by 2025 is the ultimate goal of National Education Policy 2025, where writing, reading, and mathematics skills will be done. I mean, this is the basic thing where students from class 3 will learn and will get the idea in class 3.
Okay, so thank you for a wonderful insight.
Anybody else has any question? I
Good
can.
Yes,
evening.
sir.
Yes.
Good evening, sir, and everyone present in this online session. My name is Disha Chakraborty, and sir, my question is, what is the main aim of the National Education Policy 2020?
Okay. So the main aim of National Education Policy 2020 is actually to transform Indian education system by making it learning, by making this learning and teaching more holistic, more flexible, and skill based, and more importantly student centered. Actually, it aims to provide quality education, inclusive and equitable education for all the students, and it prepares these students and prepares them with 21st century skills, which are basically much more important, because when you pass out from your school and college life, in your job life, it is very important to have the skills. So National Education Policy actually focuses that quality education to give to all the students, so that they can get or be prepared from their school up to class 12 only, so that they are completely prepared for their near future and their future engagements.
Okay, thank you so much, sir.
Any more questions?
Yes, sir, I have a question. So,
Yes.
good evening, sir. Myself, Nikita Rabnath from BTech First Year. So, what is the new school structure introduced by NEP 2020?
Okay, as I already shown, so NEP actually introduced 5+3+3+4 school structure. Okay, so 5 years, that is the foundational stage from age 3 to 8. Then 3 years preparatory stage, that is age 8 to 11. Then 3 years middle stage, that is age 11 to 14, and last 4 years secondary stage, that is 14 to 18, that is 9, 10, 11, 12 class. So this structure matches children development stages. So they have from pre-primary to up till class 12, they have make four stage here, and four stage defines a separate age limits of the students, and this actually is the whole thing introduced as the 5+3+3+4 school structure here in National Education Policy 2020.
Okay, sir.
All
Thank you,
right.
sir.
Okay, so any more questions?
Sir, good evening, sir. I have
Good
one
evening.
question.
Yes.
I am Motivational Debbarma, BTech third semester. Sir, what
Nice to
is
hear.
the importance of using the home language or mother tongue in early education?
Yes. Okay. So we all know that we are actually everybody is so comfortable in their mother tongue to express their thoughts and emotions, right? So National Education Policy 2020 is also recommending the same, that home language or mother tongue as the medium of instruction till at least class 5, because National Education Policy 2020 they believe that children understand concepts more easily in the language they speak at home. So it improves comprehension, emotional comfort, confidence, and learning outcomes of the students. So that is why it is important of using the home language or mother tongue in the early education, so the students can learn better and understand better. Any more questions?
Yes, sir. I am Sir
Yes.
Jadab Bromik from BTech First Year Computer Science.
Yes.
Sir, my question was: is it mandatory of the implementation of NEP 2020 for every states of India?
Yes, it actually, see, if if it is implementing in India, then it's have like it has to be there in all the states, right? Every state has got the access of it, and every state have to follow it, because it's comes from the, I mean, country, from the main power, and it has already been implemented, and we are already following it, and it has also a lot of other aims and ambitions. This policy has till 2035 to 2040, and we are already under this, and this is already been following by all the educational schools, colleges, and universities.
Thank you, sir, for your answer.
All right. Any more questions? Any more questions? Okay. I think there's no more questions to ask by any one of you. So thank you everyone for joining today's online session, and I sincerely appreciate your time, attention, and active participation. And it was a pleasure to share the key points of National Education Policy 2020 as part of our National Education Day celebration today. And I hope this session helped you understand the vision and importance of National Education Policy 2020 in a simple and meaningful way. So, and your presence made this session engaging and successful. So thank you once again, and I look forward to more such learning opportunities with all of you together again. Have a wonderful time ahead. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir.